Hello, friends and families. Welcome to the EDUCA DPS podcast, where we inform families and connect communities. I'm your host, Javier Ibarra. Today on the EDUCA DPS studios, we have Aaron Kimmel, like Jimmy, multilingual education instructional designer, also our Seal of Biliteracy contact for this year. Today's topic, you guessed it, is unlocking opportunities via the Seal of Biliteracy. Aaron, welcome to the show. How are you today?
Thank you. I'm good. How about you?
Good. I want to ask, just for our audience sake, tell us how long you've been with DPS and a little bit about what you like to do, right? What makes this work meaningful to you?
I've worked in Denver Public Schools for 6 years now. I've done different roles within it, but the Multilingual Education Department just feels like home. I've worked with multilingual learners my whole career, and I enjoy doing a lot of what we do is teacher training and just equipping people to work really well with the diverse student body that we have here in Denver Public Schools.
I will say this, your team has the best gear out of anyone in DPS, I guarantee it.
Yes, very fashionable.
Yes, that hoodie looks so warm and comfortable.
Yeah.
And what does it say, multilingual education?
Yeah, Denver Public Schools, multilingual education.
All right, we're both wearing...
Oh yeah, we're branded.
We're doing the thing today. All right, so for our audience, I want to get into a little bit about the topic. So I want to read this to you all so you can get a great sense of what the Seal of Biliteracy is. The Seal of Biliteracy recognizes and celebrates students' proficiency in 2 or more languages, opening doors to academic and career opportunities in the increasingly interconnected world. Join us today while we explore the impact of the prestigious achievement on students, schools, and communities. Aaron, my first question for you today is, can you provide an overview of what the Seal of Biliteracy is and what does it entail, and its significance on education today? A very heavy question.
Sure. Okay. The Seal of Biliteracy is an award given to students who've demonstrated proficiency in 2 or more languages. So it signifies their ability to communicate and their commitment to maintaining and developing their language skills. And in today's diverse and globalized world, the Seal of Biliteracy is becoming increasingly important as a mark of academic and linguistic achievement.
Is this something that we do here specifically at DPS? Is this something that we came up with, or are we doing this all over the state?
No, so it has its origins in California. In 2011, they started awarding kids the Seal of Biliteracy, and now I think that the final state, in I think all 50 states at this point, actually has some version of it. And in Colorado, many districts offer some version of the seal. So Denver Public Schools has a seal, and then Colorado Department of Education has a slightly elevated seal for kids who meet slightly stronger, more rigorous requirements.
And how has the Seal of Biliteracy, or the creation of it, how has it evolved since its inception? You touched a little bit about its origins, but what does it look like through the years into what it is now?
I think, obviously it's grown from a California initiative to sort of a more United States countrywide initiative. So there's obviously that growth. But I think a lot of it as well is increasingly trying to find ways that we can honor. In Denver Public Schools, we have almost 200 home languages spoken. So how do we make sure that there's a process that all of those kids have an opportunity to showcase their skills and be able to earn the seal and be able to use that, sort of very prestigious achievement to continue to use those skills in college, career, beyond school. So
you said over 200 languages.
I think it's just under, but yeah,
just
around
under
200.
200 sounds very impressive. What is your role in the preparation for the Seal of Biliteracy this year?
So this year we have 3 main processes where kids can earn the seal. So if they take a world language at DPS, or if they're in Spanish language arts, then they can sometimes earn the additional language proficiency through their final testing. Or if they're in a world language, if they take an AP test or an IB test at the end of the year, they can also demonstrate their proficiency in that additional language. If a student has their language is more of a home or a heritage language, they're not formally studying it, then sometimes they can take a test, and if they test at the minimum level for listening, speaking, reading, and writing, then they can meet that additional language proficiency requirement. And then finally, there's a lot of students who, again, speak one of those 200 languages that isn't a part of the World Language Program or isn't available as a test. So we have a portfolio review process. So those students will record speaking tasks and will submit a writing sample, and that's actually externally evaluated. And if they meet the proficiency, then we're able to award the seal in those languages as well.
I was just going to ask you if we had to work with external partners in order to quantify where they are in proficiency with their other language.
Yeah. Again, I mean, it's Denver Public Schools, we have a menu of options. So there are many different ways. Some of the idea behind the seal is to cast a really wide net and not to put too many barriers up to students participating. So for some of the most common languages, Spanish, we have, I think, 7 or 8 different pathways that you can achieve the seal. For French, you have more options. We do partner with a company called LTI that delivers the Apple test that allows students to test in maybe 10 languages. And some of that is maybe a Spanish, somebody who speaks Spanish at home isn't studying it through a formal system, they can take that Apple test. And then we partner with a company called Chesco Linguistic Services. They're the ones who actually have the external evaluators who can come in and evaluate the portfolios for those other languages. So they do everything, including American Sign Language. So.
Including American Sign Language. Here's
So
something I didn't know.
Yep.
And I was very proficient, I would say, when it comes to the Seal of Biliteracy.
Yep.
I want to ask you, what is the criteria typically used to assess the students' eligibility for the Seal of Biliteracy? You touched a little bit about this. Can you go into depth? Let's say for Spanish, what does that look like?
So the first requirement is graduation. So
they have
it's
to
really,
graduate.
this is an achievement that is awarded on their transcript. So it goes on, it's on their high school transcript forevermore. If they achieve the DPS seal, they will have that on their transcript for English and whatever language or languages that they are proficient in. And then if they earn the CDE seal, that's also marked on the transcript.
Tell me more about the CDE seal. What is that?
The CDE seal is just, it's the Colorado Department of Education awards. Their requirements are slightly higher in a couple of areas than DPS's. So for kids who meet that slightly higher, one of the key requirements is maintaining at least a 3.0 grade point average in your English language arts class over your high school career. So that's maybe the most straightforward way that you can earn the seal is by getting a minimum score on your SAT, for example, or the AccuPlacer, or maybe doing an AP English class or a concurrent enrollment class. But then if you've maintained that 3.0 average or better, then you might be eligible to earn the Colorado Department of Seal.
I feel like we're getting really into the weeds here, which is really good because I want to get that detail. But I think maybe something that I glossed over is, why is this important? Why have the seal? Why are we really taking the time to do this intentionally so that our students have something on their transcripts and on their diploma? Why have the seal?
So, I mean, the idea behind the seal was really to honor the linguistic gifts that students bring with them, and also to encourage other students to cultivate bilingualism. So we know it's an increasingly global world. We know that bilingual kids have academic, professional, personal opportunities that aren't available to multilingual kids. So the primary goal is to get kids to have a goal around cultivating and growing and taking classes and improving their language skills and maintaining them once they've kind of established a certain level. So a lot of it is to look at kids who maybe have a heritage language, who have a lot of pressures to maybe not use that language as often, to see importance around that, and to continue to maybe choose to take a Spanish language arts class, and continue to maybe grow their biliteracy. Maybe they're very fluent and very bilingual in it, but maybe they don't write as well. So encouraging them to make that choice so that they have as many opportunities as possible open to them once they graduate.
It sounds like it's so that we can qualify or quantify where they're at in their journey, but also give them a reward for meeting the standards of what the seal is. Am I correct in saying that?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's supposed to be sort of a motivator as well as a recognition. So
And to show it off.
Yeah, and yeah, to have something to showcase. I think some of the people who have continued to stay in touch with the program after graduation have said that when they go for job interviews, people are very curious about the SEAL award, and they are always asking them to sort of say more about it, and it opens doors for them that might not otherwise be open.
For our audience members that are about to start looking at graduation season, because it's coming, how can they identify students that have received the seal just by looking over the crowd at all of the students that are about to graduate? Is there some sort of indicator that this person has received the seal of biliteracy?
So at graduation, they actually get it's a gold and silver cord that they get to wear. Students who come to the Seal of Biliteracy ceremony will receive a special medal. There's a pin that they can use. We award all of the graduating seniors who have met the requirements with a few little goodies like that, and then a sticker that they can put on their diploma. So it's on their permanent transcript, but there's also, if they're asked for their diploma, there's a sticker that goes on it. And then just as they're walking at graduation, there's that very visible sort of reminder that they've met the extra achievement of the seal.
I want to get into the event specific. Can you tell me, in terms of design and planning, which is what you do, what elements are essential for creating an engaging and inclusive event that is centered around the Seal of Biliteracy?
Yeah. So obviously the purpose of the event is to highlight these students and their achievements. So they are really at the center of the event. It's the Seal of Biliteracy. It's the Seal of Biliteracy. So making sure that we have interpreters available at the event. So as we are asking people to RSVP, we're asking if they need interpretation, and we fortunately partner very closely with the Multilingual Communications Department, and DPS has an amazing array of interpreters who are able to come and do that simultaneous interpretation for our events. So we also like to showcase the diversity and sort of the biculturalism aspect of it. So we try and invite speakers who can come and talk. This year we have several DPS leaders who are all bilingual who are going to come and be a part of the ceremony. And we also have student performances that are going to both open and close the ceremony.
I'm very excited about the student performances because I think that apart from adding to the event, it's really cool to see our students perform. It's really cool to see their art form come to life, and especially if it's in another language, which is really inspiring, I think, and it's what makes us different than most districts, including here in the state of Colorado. My next question for you is, how many students are expected to earn the seal this year?
So we won't actually know how many students have met it until later this summer.
It's
and that's
secret.
Because it is. It's actually, we have so many different pathways to earn the seal, and one of the ways that a lot of students establish their additional language proficiency is through an AP or an IB exam. And those results just aren't ready at graduation. So if a student receives and meets the requirements, they will still have that on their transcript. But at the moment, I think there's about 1,006 students, seniors, because we also have juniors who have met the requirements already. But graduating seniors who have met both of the requirements and who we have invited to the ceremony and have cords and all of the sort of accoutrement to go along with that for graduation.
Is this, correct me if I'm wrong, is this the 9th annual?
It is.
This is the 9th annual,
This is the
right?
9th annual, yep.
I remember because last year was the 8th annual, and I was there for that one. My next question for you is, have the amount of students who have earned the seal increased over the last couple of years, or are we seeing a consistent, hover around the 1,000 mark?
I would say, I mean, the 1,000 mark is kind of our floor right now. We're trying to exceed it. So I think at this point, having 1,006 is pretty exciting. We also, we know that there's 22 seniors who've submitted their portfolios, who have one of those other languages that we haven't been able to use our world language program or our testing for. So we're hoping to get those results back shortly. So that's actually a huge increase. I think last year we had about 12 students who submitted. So one of our program goals is to increase that number and to try and catch especially a lot of our multilingual learners who maybe aren't as aware of the seal and the opportunities, maybe because they're not in a world language class, and maybe it's something that they grew up speaking or maybe even completed, say 8th grade in their own country, came here as a newcomer, trying to catch those students as well and sort of get their additional language proficiency established so that as soon as they graduate, they're positioned to get that award on their transcript.
Something that I should have asked you earlier, is this only offered at a couple of our high schools?
No, this is a district-wide. It's available to charter students. It's available to all the district schools, all the district's high schools, and then we also have students in the Ascent and the TREP programs who participate.
So it is all students in the city of Denver that fall under the purview of Denver Public Schools.
All of them are eligible, yep.
Wow, and so I think that's pretty exciting, right? To be able to offer something district-wide that unites everyone in this common goal or achievement now because they've received it, which is really awesome for our students.
It is, yeah.
I want to ask you, looking ahead, what do you think the Seal of Biliteracy will look like in 5 years?
Yep. I mean, obviously, our goal, we would love to see more students who are earning the seal because we think that it opens all of those, career, academic, personal goals to them. There's a small challenge because with the new graduation requirements for 2027 and beyond, there's not as many elective credits available to kids. So they really have to actively choose to stay in their language. And we're hoping that the seal provides them a little bit of motivation to make that choice and to continue to maybe not just take 1 year of a language that might be the minimum requirement for going to the university that they'd like to, but maybe actually go on and do a few years of it so that they actually have a strong foundation in that language that they can continue to build on. How
can our EDUCA audience help support the Seal of Biliteracy and the event? How can we help get the word out there?
I mean, I think we are hoping to open the application a little bit earlier. So I think talking to people and really pushing, making sure that their school counselors, asking when that application is available, and then using the application. We try and cast the net very wide, and we have a lot of systems to track students who are in a formal language program. But again, for a lot of students who aren't in one of those programs, using the application is one of the best ways to know that they are interested in this. So really just continuing to ask the schools, making sure that they know that there's a demand for this, that people are interested, and encouraging their own counselors, their own Seal of Biliteracy contacts to continue to build their capacity to have more opportunities for their students to engage.
Erin, before I let you go, is there a final message that you have for us, for the audience, about the Seal of Biliteracy?
I think it's hard to emphasize enough how amazing this is and how hard students work to achieve this award, and just that it's a really special thing that kind of makes them unique among other graduates here in the United States.
I believe it. I think having the seal on their diploma gives them a certain level of confidence, right? Yeah. I know for myself, I did French. I studied French for 4 years through my high school career, but I don't have the seal. And because I don't have the seal, I never kept going with French.
Yeah.
I'm kidding. I wish I would have kept going with it. There are words that I understand, and because I'm a native Spanish speaker, French came really easy to me. It was English that actually came really hard. But I think that knowing that I had that seal, I would have pursued it, because I wouldn't have let that have its shelf life and just let it go, right? I think
feels like a responsibility.
it feels like a responsibility, something that you have to step up to, but also something that I assume, right? Because my diploma, everyone has it somewhere in their home, in their office, right? Because you want to show it off. If it had the seal, you look at it every day, right? And it's that self-assurance that we give our students and saying, hey, like, you earned this and you actually know this language. You tested, you went through the requirements, you applied, and here it is. So I think that it's really important for our students who are listening to know, and for our future students or students who are looking to get this seal, I think it's very important for them to know that this is an opportunity for them.
Yes.
Well, this concludes our EDUCA DPS podcast for today. I want to thank our very special guest, Aaron Kimmel, for the important information that was shared with us here today. For our folks listening or watching, if you would like to support this particular program, the Seal of Biliteracy, including our podcast and those like it, we would like to ask for you to please share this episode on social media, or share it with your friends, your relatives, your dog walker, and all of our DPS community. For this and more multimedia productions and content, please subscribe to our YouTube channel at Denver Public Schools Plus. We are also on all of the main podcast platforms. Just search for the Denver Public Schools Podcast and hit the subscribe button. A big thank you to our communications department, educators, students, DPS parents, and community, and also our proud superintendent of Denver Public Schools, Dr. Alex Marrero, for your support to EDUCA and all of our multimedia productions. Please remember to tell your children more often. Aaron, I need your help with this one. Can you help me with this? It says,
I believe in you, and I know you can do it.
Until next time.